Little man, whoever you is, until you feed the kids where you from for 20 years straight, don't question Rose.
I was talking about your lyrical content, and you talking about turkeys. I'm talking about you as a hip-hop OG still glorifying murder and drug dealing in your music.
Greetings, y'all, and welcome to Seek Things Above TV. I'm your host, Lucha Cooney. We got a pretty hot topic for y'all today, but before we hop into it, y'all know what to do. If you like content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel, liking this video, sharing this video, ringing the bell for notifications, and doing all that good stuff because you know it helps with the algorithm. So, man, without further ado, let's get into the topic, man. We have our man, the main man, D1, back in the news yet again. So D1 has recently been all over, the interwebs because of his recent appearance on Sway's show. And basically he, went on there and called out some very prominent, or I should say well-known, kind of older MCs at this point, but well-known, well-respected, considered to be OGs, and who have that status, right? So he has called out some dudes, man, and it really prompted a lot of response from various people on the internet, man. So many of you may have seen these clips already, so we're just going to show brief moments of them, and at the end of that, we're going to go ahead and kind of comment and see what we can learn really as Christians viewing this whole situation and the exchange that he's had with these guys. So let's go ahead and play this video, and then we will come back on the other end.
Jim Jones, you could do better, brother. I love you too much. I love you too much to not be honest with you. Rick Ross, you could do better, brother. Meek Mill, you could do better, brother. I love you too much not to be honest with you. Are you the face of prison reform? Because are you the face of prison reform? Or are you sitting here on your new song with Ross talking about getting somebody murked and shot at the red light? Which one is it, bro? Which one is it, bro? Because I did a shoe giveaway in my city and gave out 1,300 pairs of your shoes because they said reform underneath them. And I love that you partnered with a major shoe company and you out here pushing prison reform. But now I got to sit here like, man, this man glorifying getting people killed as of a week ago. Like, what are you doing, bro? Lil Snoop really got killed. That broke your heart. You wear him around your neck. Why are you glorifying the same thing when my best friend got killed? When Carl got killed, New Orleans know who I'm talking about. When Carl got killed, and I had to go to his funeral and read the eulogy and be part of the funeral, and I got back in my car, Sway, after the funeral, and I turned on my music, and I realized I'm listening to music that's glorifying the same stuff that just happened to my best friend. Mm-hmm. It gave me chills, and I needed that moment. That was my come to Jesus moment of like, D, you got to do something different, brother, because you have a taste for this poison, but you're attracted to the poison, and rap is great. The rap game, hip-hop industry is great at cooking up some delicious poison.
So that was D1 on Sway's Universe, talking about the hypocrisy in hip-hop, how there are rappers who are seemingly doing good things or claiming to do good things for the community, but yet they are glorifying violence and really perpetuating that through their music, just making it sound good. And as he referred to it, it is, it's poison. It's poison that is delicious to consume. It's well-dressed death, basically. It's death looking real good. You know what I mean? And so that's what he had to say on the show. So let's go ahead and check out some of the responses from the people who were mentioned. We'll start off with this Rick Ross clip.
Meek Mill, you could do better. Jim Jones, you could do better. Rick Ross, you could do better. I got to see you do better. Wait. Little man, whoever you is, until you feed the kids where you from for 20 years straight, don't question Rose. Wait. Until you buy 10,000 bikes, 10,000 trikes. Give all the young girls who pregnant Pampers for Christmas for 20 years straight. Don't question boss. You heard me, little man? Get that basket off your head so you could think clear, little man. You going viral for speaking on his name's not because of your talent, not because of your gift. Go viral, player, off of your wisdom that you sharing. You speaking on this, yeah, Meek Mill, you just, boy, you know what I mean? Just died this summer, they released Self-Destruction. It's dying right now. It's gonna don't make it to see in the morning. Get that basket off your head, boy, and come together with real around the world. So when your grandma need a kidney, since you want to go viral, I'm going to show you how to go viral, little man, but go viral feeding them kids in your hood. Go viral giving them bikes away. Go viral Christmas time. Now, don't be saying, Jim Jones just gave away goddamn 6 figures worth of clothes in his hood, and you who talking, looking vegan, knowing you eat more goddamn Piggly Wiggly bacon than any other out here. Shut up.
So that was Mr. Rose, a.k.a. Rick Ross, voicing his displeasure at being mentioned by D1 as somebody who is promoting death and other things in his music. Obviously, he's displeased about it. The clip does go on, and thankfully we didn't have to hear the rest of it because it just goes on into, insults and what have you, just deteriorates into that, really. And he stops making any kind of coherent point. Let's go ahead and see what Jim Jones had to say. We'll also play a little bit of what D1 had to say in response to Rick Ross a little bit later so that we can have context for the whole story thus far.
I really do a lot for the people.
Mm-hmm. He talked about lyrics.
I don't care about none of that.
Okay.
In real life, I do a lot for the people. Miss me with the rhetoric about what I do in my music. I get money off my music. Don't tell me how to make my dollars. You gotta watch whose names you mentioning out here.
Mm-hmm.
You heard?
Yeah.
Because my little cousin might not like how you mention my name. You heard? And then he might want to slap a joint out your head just because he don't understand that you're using my name for fame and he don't understand that.
Yeah.
There's a certain way to go about certain things when you're using certain people's name. When you do certain things, it's a reaction for every action.
What's the best way?
It's out now. It ain't no best way to have a conversation. He got to see me when he see me now.
Okay.
You heard?
If he reached out.
He had the chance. He could have reached out. The avenue of talking to me is out.
That's out.
You heard? I had the same conversation with Farrakhan.
How did that go?
He summoned me for saying his name.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
If you know now what you're talking about, young man, let me school you to what you're doing. Well, yeah, it is music. So in a bit of music, you do get you do get what you get, you heard? But we're still in the entertainment business. But miss me with the you heard? When you see me, keep your hand down, you heard? Where you from, New Orleans?
New
Don't
Orleans.
play with me like that. People from New Orleans already called me, you heard? You preacher. I'm told to.
Okay, so now that we have taken a look at D1's initial comments, and then we got to see Rick Ross's response, a little bit of Jim Jones's response, now let's just take a brief look at what D1 had to say in response to Rick Ross, and then we can come back and chop it up.
Rick Ross! First of all, I love you, brother, and I want you to know that because you sounded a little upset in your video reply to me, but I love you too much to not be honest with you, and right now you're deflecting. I was talking about your lyrical content, and you talking about turkeys. I'm talking about you as a hip-hop OG still glorifying murder and drug dealing in your music, and you talking about turkeys? Bro, more people are streaming your music than eating your turkeys. You can believe that, brother. Oh, then you can make fun of my accent and my hair, brother. That's lightweight, you hear me? What am I doing to help my community? Well, my whole adult life, I've been a middle school teacher. Now I'm a full-time hip-hop artist. Just dropped my 10th album. It's called Uno. You should check it out, actually. I've helped to give out hundreds of thousands of dollars in college scholarships for students around this country. Done financial literacy tours year after year, brother. Shoe drives, toy drives, voter registration rallies, prison ministry. I'm currently a professor at Tufts University teaching the intersection of hip-hop and social change, and I'm a fellow at Harvard University. Ultimately, I'm just trying my best to do God's work in this industry, bro. Then you say, won't I go viral with my own content? Brother, you're a little late to the party. I've been successful for a while, man, and not having to glorify the things that's harmful to our community. Could you do that? I'm curious. Bro, I work with some of the same artists as you, The Game, Lupe, Big Crit, Juvenile, Manny Fresh, Currency, Kevin Gates, Sway, Charlamagne. These people know me, man. So as black men, let's do our best to do God's work and not glorify what's holding us down, man.
Okay, so now that we have an idea of what's going on thus far in the story, with all the back and forth and the things that have been said from various sides about this whole issue, I think for me, there are a few ways in which I'm viewing this and a few things that I just want to discuss with y'all today, give y'all my thoughts on it. And essentially, I think with these things, man, I'm always going to come from the perspective of a Christian, right? I'm always going to come from that perspective. And what is the end goal for us and for guys like D1 in this position as a Christian in these hostile environments where people don't want to hear what you have to say, even though it's true. So, firstly, I'll say, I think him going on the platform and actually having the opportunity to call out these guys, to call out the hypocrisy itself, right? So let's just talk about that. The act of him calling out the hypocrisy itself and basically, how effective is that? How effective is that, or was that him having the opportunity to do that? And I would say that I think that it was effective for him to go out there and have, take his few minutes there on this platform and voice his opinion, speak the truth about this issue, because these are real issues. These are definitely real issues. This is definitely a glaring flaw within hip hop culture, that people on one end will glorify violence, glorify all kinds of debauchery and wickedness, and then on the other end, for instance, like when somebody gets killed in, a violent fashion, that is basically what you would find in a lot of hip hop music being glorified. When somebody is killed close to a person, there is obviously mourning, which there should be, but there's a lack of being able to make the connection that, hey, I'm actually in this space and I am actually promoting the same kind of things. And then you'll get guys like, as Jim Jones said, saying that, hey, this is just how I make my money. I mean, we've heard these arguments before, right? These arguments of like, hey, man, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger goes on TV and kills a whole bunch of people. Nobody says anything about it. But when I write about it in my music, I get attacked, yada, yada, yada. Like, you've heard these arguments from MCs in the past. And it's no different from what Jim Jones is saying, where he's saying that, that's entertainment. That's my job. Don't worry about how I get my money. I am doing things for my community, and I'm doing a lot, and you don't need to know about it. And so clearly there's a disconnect between reality and between what these guys are actually doing in their music, and they don't see the connection between these two things. And so D1 having the opportunity to go on this platform and to point that out, I think he was effective in that. He was effective in using his moment on Sway's Universe to actually call that out. Obviously it was effective because people heard it and people have responded to it and people have been talking about it. So in that sense, I'll say it was effective. And, he, as a Christian, took his moment to speak his mind on these matters. What I would say was probably not effective is if he intended to use, this is D1, right? If D1 intended to use this calling these guys out to actually have them change their minds about what they're doing, then that's when we see that it was not effective. We see that it was not effective. It fell on deaf ears, and there is a very good reason why that happened. And for that, we are going to go ahead and just pull up the scriptures and just read the text real quick that quickly helps us to get to the root of why these things are not being received by the people he's calling out. 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 14 to 16. The natural person does not accept the things of the Spirit of God, for they are folly to him, and he is not able to understand them because they are spiritually discerned. The spiritual person judges all things, but is himself to be judged by no one. For who has understood the mind of the Lord so as to instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. And so trying to speak to the natural man or the carnal man in a spiritual sense, trying to communicate spiritual things to them is not possible. And especially if the goal is you want to say something to these guys that's actually going to cause a change of heart to them and cause them to actually change their ways, we cannot do that simply by appealing to actions that they should take. Because at the end of the day, if we do that, if we're merely doing that, then we're just trying to get them to be a little more moral. That's what we're trying to do. We're just trying to make them be a little bit more moral, to kind of clean themselves up a bit, but we're not asking them to actually change from within. You know what I'm saying? And that's not possible for them to do. We need the gospel, okay? We need to preach the gospel because it is the power of God unto salvation, right? It is the thing that once spoken to somebody, and when they have the ears to hear and they respond to it, their hearts are changed because they are regenerated by the Holy Spirit. And so that is what needs to take place in order for these guys to really change, or for the change that they do undergo to be change that is not just merely outward, but is a change from within, and that is actually glorifying and pleasing to God. Because at the end of the day, anybody's capable of doing some good works. You know what I'm saying? Anybody is capable of doing good works. If we're simply asking these guys to do that, and we are not appealing to the fact that they need to repent of their sin and turn to Christ, and explicitly them being made aware of that, then what we're doing in the end is not effective to actually bring about the change that is going to please God and is going to actually mean something, truly mean something in the end. The second major observation or takeaway that I have from watching this whole thing is that when D1 kind of stooped to the level of Rick Ross and started talking about all the things that he's doing, how easily that could have been perceived as him boasting of the work that he's doing. And I'm very, very sure, very certain, okay? So anybody listening to this, hear me out. I am very certain that that was not his motive, okay? I'm very certain that that was not D1's motive to brag about the things that he's doing. But in viewing it, it was very easy for that to be the perception for somebody who was viewing it. And so what I would say is that I think that that part was not necessary. It wasn't necessary for him to go into all these things that he's doing, because what happens is it becomes a contest of who's doing more in the community. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe Rick Ross has given out more stuff, or spent thousands or perhaps even more money over the time that he's been giving money to his community, right? Now what? Does it mean that because he's done more works in the community, that what D1 said before doesn't have any weight? That the pointing out of the hypocrisy is not true? No, it does not. It all looks like a contest, and it all ends up looking like a competition to see who has done the most stuff. And at the end of the day, we know that all those things that are done outside of Christ are nothing but filthy rags. Like, there are good works, there are things that you can do in this world which are great humanitarian things, and anybody's capable of that. But ultimately, that's not going to save their soul. The amount of work they do, the amount of stuff they give out is not going to save their soul. And so when you're kind of competing with them about who's done more work, the real point and the real pertinent issue, which is their salvation, can get lost in translation, essentially. So I think that was the one thing that I would say he didn't have to do it. I think if he had just appealed to what he was saying before, and if he had simply kind of at that point pushed forth and said, you know, why I'm bringing these things up? I'm bringing these things up because, as he said, you know, I love you. I love you, and I don't want you to face the judgment of God. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to face the judgment of God, and the work that you're doing is taking you down that path. Just to kind of reinforce this point of how when we stoop to somebody's level, we can actually end up losing an opportunity to communicate real truth to them. Let's take a look at Proverbs 26, 5-6, which is a very popular proverb. And it says, answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Verse 6 says, whoever sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. I'm also going to throw in this one for you as a bonus. Proverbs 23:9. Do not speak in the hearing of a fool, for he will despise the good sense of your words. One of the commentaries here says a person should not answer a fool by resorting to foolish methods. Yet someone needs to expose his foolishness even if he will not listen. So we should not resort to foolish methods in order to reach a fool, yet we do need to speak the truth to them even if they will not listen. And I think the most important truth is the truth, the absolute truth, which is the wrath of God abides on their head if they do not repent. And that is the truth that they do need to hear over any kind of mention of accolades and accomplishments. Another thing that I think was a little bit problematic is even the name dropping, right? So the name dropping of people who he's worked with. And even in that, the question can be posed because some of those people that he's mentioned, the music that they're doing is very far from God glorifying. You know what I'm saying? And so there's even that as well, where it's like, okay, so you know these guys, but where you at? Are those the people you have the personal relationship and you're working through, sharing the gospel with them, building relationships? We don't know. But when you just simply mention them out there and you talk about all the people that you know, and even in the clip that we didn't see here, which happened on the Sway's Universe incident, when he pulled out his phone and started showing his contacts to Sway, and I don't think that was necessary. And I think, again, these are the things that sort of taint the message that he's bringing and really take away from what really needs to be said here. So overall, I do applaud D1 for speaking his mind on these platforms and going out and having the boldness to say what he did say. And for that, we do need to applaud him and, pray for him as he goes into these spaces. Okay, definitely pray for this brother as he goes into these spaces. Let us not be too critical in terms of, sometimes because there's other popular Christian artists who get in these spaces and then they don't do, they shy away from saying stuff, right? And then when we have somebody who goes up there and boldly says something, even though maybe they don't say it the exact way we would have them say, or maybe they say some things that we think were not necessary to say, it doesn't mean we should just discount the work that they're doing or these opportunities and to, just be highly critical and to not support the brother. So those are my thoughts on this whole D1 situation thus far. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section below. I would love to hear from y'all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And if then you have been raised with Christ, seek the things that are above, where Christ is, seated at the right hand of God. Set your minds on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. All right? God bless y'all, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.